Hi Taurus, welcome to your reading. If you're new to the channel, I do timeless readings, which means that whenever you find this video is when you're meant to hear the messages within it. And in case you subscribe, I upload my new videos for Taurus and Scorpio. Let me just turn down the light a little bit and see if that helps. On Tuesdays. So I do just want to mention that in case you subscribe, I upload my new videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but the name of the deck that I'm using today is called the Mystical Manga Tarot. And as always, if you guys are interested in getting a personal reading, my information is in the description below. Also, perfect. Sorry. Also, my goal here is to get you guys 8 cards. So now that we have 8 cards, we can get started. But I do just want to remind you guys very quickly that in case you enjoy the reading, the best way to let me know is by leaving a like or a comment. But your overall energy here is actually really nice because for your overall, we have the Ace of Cups. Now, the Ace of Cups to me is sort of symbolic of some kind of a new beginning in emotions, right? So that doesn't necessarily have to be love, but I'm thinking that for a lot of you guys, it is love. I'm getting that you guys are having sort of a new relationship with yourself and your emotions as well. Mostly because it feels like you guys have kind of been in an energy where you've sort of put your emotions on the back burner, right? In the sense that I feel like you've been putting people before you a lot of the times. So it's not like, what do I want? What do I need? It's like what other people need, right? And as a result, you've kind of put your emotions on the back burner. And I feel like this can apply to you if you're a water sign as well, sort of cross-watching, because I see this King of Cups. But like I was saying, you're sort of adopting a lot of these qualities in the sense that you're becoming a lot more in tune with yourself emotionally. And I think that a lot of people have sort of this connotation of what it means to be emotional. And, you know, some people think, oh, it's when I'm sad. Oh, it's when I'm angry. Well, no, it's everything, right? It's a spectrum of emotions and everything under the sun. And you're sort of making new strides in accepting yourself in every way, shape, and form, right? I know that some people hate the concept of vulnerability and they hate crying in front of other people or even showing any kind of emotion, but I feel like you're learning to have a much more healthier connection there, as well as your love romantic connections. So, like I said, take all that information that I just said for you and apply it to the context of a relationship. So the both of you are learning to, for example, be a little bit more vulnerable in the presence of each other. And also the relationship itself, sort of as an entity, is giving way for there to be this emotional evolution, shall we say. But I do want to talk about these 2 cards here. So the 4 of Wands is an awesome omen, right? So it's celebration, it's also marriage, but I think that for a lot of you guys, it's sort of this level up in commitment kind of energy, right? So whenever I see it, I know that there's going to be some kind of an advancement in your relationship, and whatever that is going to look different for whoever is watching the reading, right? So for some of you guys who are at like this, just like the talking stage where you're kind of flirting back and forth, you might go into sort of talking a little bit more seriously and like perhaps thinking about being exclusive. And then for some of you guys who've been dating for a couple months or even years, you might be looking towards moving in together. You know, some of you guys are already married and you might be looking at having kids, right? So it doesn't need to necessarily stop at marriage and whatever. And like if there's more even beyond that, like I'm hearing joint bank accounts. But so that's not like traditionally romantic, but I feel like for some of you guys that might be like a huge step. But like I said, whatever that looks like for you is what's happening. You're sort of having a marriage of the 2 minds. And then with obviously the Ace of Cups, which talks about sort of that love and abundance. Together, those 2 cards are a huge, powerful combination in love. And then you have the Nine of Wands, which does concern me a little bit, right? Because the Nine of Wands is my healing card, right? It's my Wounded Warrior card, and it's working through perhaps some wounds that you still have, perhaps from this life or past lifetimes, if that's something that you believe in. But because it's in reverse, it tells me that you're not really doing that healing. Either you or a partner, and I'm getting it's mostly partner, but for some of you guys, it might be you as well, or just you, period. But what I mean by this is like, there might be some kind of a concern here about sort of being vulnerable and having sort of this commitment, right? I feel like for a lot of people, I'm sensing some kind of commitment issues or fear of commitment, and that might block the connection a little bit, not in like a serious, like terrible, like we're gonna break up kind of a way, but in like a we need to work this through and we need to actually work it through and like face our intimacy issues kind of a way. But do know that there are going to be major strides. And in fact, for some of you guys, this energy might actually be in the past, because I'm seeing this Eight of Swords in reverse with this King of Cups. And the King of Cups is a wonderful energy to have in conjunction here with this Ace of Cups, because that's a new beginning here in emotions. And then this is like being emotionally evolved in your emotions, right? Because the King of Cups, he's not a page anymore. He's not a knight. You know, he has mastery over his emotions. He knows how to handle them and how to experience them without letting them control his life, right? He's very mature in that sense. And next, you have this energy up here of no longer being trapped, right? Because the Eight of Swords in the upright talks about being trapped. It talks about not being able to move forward, and it talks about sort of, I don't want to say despair, but that's kind of the word that's coming out. Either way, it's frustrating because you can't move forward. And this energy back here is all about moving forward here. And then you have sort of this, hey, there's this blockage in intimacy. And then you have sort of this energy of like, hey, you can't move forward because you're trapped or you're tangled up or you're bound. But because it's in reverse, it's telling me that either you or your partner or whoever needs it is going to enter this energy here where they become far more emotionally evolved and are going to be a lot more able to move into these stages, right? And then you have the Five of Wands, which can sometimes mean competition, but I'm not getting that at all. I'm getting that this might be disagreeing and arguing, and okay, competition in the fact that you guys are like competing ideas. I don't think that this is like competition in the sense of like, hey, I'm dating you, but I might like this person more, right? That's not the energy that I'm getting. I'm getting that you and your person maybe have a lot of differing ideals, a lot of sort of disagreeing, or like, hey, let's sort of have this mental exercise where we compare and contrast ideas or whatever, right? And I feel like that's a common occurrence because we have this Five of Wands, and I feel like you're going to do a lot of this talking throughout this healing process because we have this Nine of Wands in reverse. But I don't think that this is a bad card. Like, even though it can be symbolic of fights, I feel like it's kind of like clearing the air and getting everything on the table and getting everything in a way where everything makes sense and you're able to move forward because we have this Seven of Cups in reverse. So the Seven of Cups in the upright talks about fantasies. And if I were to see this card with this card, but the Seven of Cups is in the upright, then I would think, oh, there's arguments and disagreeing going on, but there's delusion as well, right? Because this is the card of fantasy and daydreaming. So it's like there's misunderstandings going on and whatever. But because it's in the reverse, it's telling me that you guys are taking a very realistic approach, a very practical approach. I feel like this is the energy of like, okay, you said this, I think I misunderstood. Would you care to iterate or elaborate or whatever? And they're like, yeah, this is what I meant. And then you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? I feel like this is going to be the type of conversation that you're going to see a lot. And don't assume that what you say comes out the way or is interpreted the way that it was in your head, right? So I think that if you take the extra time to kind of make sure that what you're saying comes out and is like interpreted the way that it's supposed to be, you guys are going to see a lot more synergy and like function. I don't want to say function, but like things are going to work out way better. And then you have here the World with the Hanged Man in reverse. So whenever I see the Hanged Man, that to me is kind of like an energy of being open to new ideas and changing your ideas and looking at things from a different point of view. But when I see it in the reverse, I know that it's time to be steadfast. I know it's time to be maybe a little stubborn. I know it's time to take what you've learned and apply it, right? And I feel like that's what you're doing over here, because you kind of know where this is going. With these two cards, like, you can see the commitment, you can see the emotional happiness, and you can see things getting worked out. But there's sort of this lingering fear of like things that you haven't healed, especially if this connection has a lot of history where these issues have arisen, because we have sort of this fear of commitment, we have sort of this feeling of being trapped or bound, and then we have sort of this energy, which in the upright is that energy of like misunderstanding and delusion. But because this is in reverse, I feel like this is a huge stride in moving forward towards really clearing the air. And so is this, because the energy of being bound is also in reverse. So it's like you're liberating yourselves, which is a lot, which is very similar energy to what this in the upright is like. Open-minded kind of an energy. And then on top of all of that, you have the World, which to me talks about closing out a chapter in your life and being able to move forward. So that to me tells me that you guys are going to start a huge new chapter. And this Ace of Cups is giving you its blessing. And then you also have the King of Cups and the Four of Wands. You just need to work through all this energy so that you're able to do it. But that was your reading first time around, Taurus. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like or a comment, because it really helps out the channel. And I personally really love to know if these readings resonate with you guys. But like I said before, I upload my new Taurus videos on Tuesdays. But in the meantime, you guys are more than welcome to watch any of my other timeless readings that I have up on the channel. And with that being said, I hope to see you guys next time for your next reading.